Hi guys, my name is Yaya. Welcome to my channel and welcome to my very first YouTube video upload. So I'm a little jittery right now and I'm not quite sure if it's the coffee that I just drank or if it's from the excitement of finally getting this YouTube video off the ground. This is something I've been wanting to do for quite some time right now and I'm finally doing it and it's quite exciting, although it might not seem like it. I'm just trying to keep my composure here. It is also nerve-wracking and I'm feeling really vulnerable right now because I'm essentially sharing personal information with a large amount of people who are strangers. But hopefully within the next few months we won't be strangers anymore. And the only surefire way to ensure that we aren't strangers anymore is to go ahead and hit that subscribe button at the bottom of your screen. Click like, click share. It doesn't cost anything, but it does let YouTube know that this content is valuable and I can keep producing and putting out more similar content. So just one more thing before I proceed with the video. I am not a licensed therapist, nor am I an expert. I'm just out here sharing a few personal thoughts and a few ideas. And if you find use to it and you would like to apply that to your own life, great. But again, I emphasize I am not an expert or a licensed therapist. And without further ado, let's jump right into the video. So the year is 2016. I just returned to Florida from Pennsylvania from my friend's medical school graduation. I was broke, and when I say broke, I mean I had just enough money to cover rent, car insurance, maybe some groceries, things of that nature. But I had no fun money, meaning I couldn't go out and drink with friends. And I also didn't have an emergency fund, so that if I broke my leg or my car broke down, I was literally screwed. And the guy that I'd been talking to for about 2.5 years on and off had completely ghosted on me, like radio silence from his end. And I had been getting rejection after rejection for a project that I sent out through a few agents. I wasn't hearing anything from them. So I would consider that a pretty low point in my life. Now let's backtrack here about 5 to 7 years. I graduated from college in 2009 with a bachelor's of science in biology and chemistry and thought like I was going to set the world on fire. So the initial plan from graduating from college was to go on to medical school, but that quickly changed after I did an internship with University of Virginia. I was working in the lab, and yes, the pay was good, and the people I was surrounded by were really great people, but quite frankly, I was bored. And so, after graduating from college, I had to go back to the minimum wage paying job that I'd been working in high school, which was really annoying because I just spent 4 years of my life slaving away in college. So, waste of time, waste of money. Can you imagine that? I spent 4 years of my life in college, spent a lot of money, and now I have all this student loan debt and I have to go back to a minimum wage paying job. I feel like this is a story of a lot of millennials. Comment down below if I'm preaching to the choir. So at this point, I started to become a little cynical because I spent all this money to go to college and they do advertise it. Anyways, when I was in high school, we had all these recruiters from colleges come and tell us how we should come to your colleges, and college, having a college degree almost guarantees you like a better job when you do graduate, and so you're basically set up for life and all that jazz. So now I'm having flashbacks. I'm like, well, all the things that they promised me is not happening. I decided to go on to graduate school and pursue a master's of science in journalism, and it was the same story. I graduated 2012 with a master's of science in journalism, and again, couldn't find a job. I put out several applications and was getting rejections, or I wouldn't hear anything back from them. And now, granted, part of me not getting a job, I must admit, is me not being consistent in applying for the jobs over and over again. So I'll get rejections and then I'll just give up. But the other part of it too, I think, would be the 2008 financial crisis. So now, fast forward to 2016 to the job that I was working at, which is the same job I'm currently working at the moment. I was treating that job like a throwaway job. I just said, this is just a job to pay bills and whatever I'm going to call in, and I'm going to get a better job later on. And that was just my mentality. Like, I was just going through the motions, going to a job, which I feel like that's a lot of people. You're just going to the job and can tell that you're like not happy or you're angry. I've seen that a lot when I go to the supermarket and the people who are ringing me up, you can just tell like they don't want to be there. I was that person. I mean, I would show up to work, but my heart wasn't in it. And not to say that that has changed a lot, but I'm not treating it like a throwaway job anymore. I'm just like, let me just go to this job and put my heart into it. And whenever I get the other job I've been hoping for, then good for me. So basically, I'd call in a lot from work because I didn't like the job, obviously, and I just wanted the other project I was working on to happen already, and it wasn't happening. And the result of that, me calling in a lot, was me being short on money to pay rent. So then I'll have to call up my mom and ask her like maybe for $100 so that I can make rent for the month. And it was getting really annoying and embarrassing to me because I hate asking for help. Everyone who knows me knows that I'm really independent, and I was raised that way. So I didn't like asking for money from my mom, especially since she had retired. She was retired and she's on a fixed income. I didn't want to ask for money, but I had no other choice. And every time I would ask for some help when it came to money, and it happened like 3 months in a row back to back, my mom would say, listen, this job is not for you. Every time you're asking me for money, you have a master's degree, you need to get out of there. But something within myself did not want to leave, and I don't know what it was, but I just felt like I didn't want to leave here, even though the pay wasn't that great, right? So then I had to like reevaluate myself. And actually that happened when I came back from my French graduation. I couldn't fathom moving back to Philly, back in with my mom after being on my own in Florida for about a year and a half at this point. To start with, I didn't have a job lined up in Philly, didn't have a boyfriend at the time, so I wasn't tied down. I was pretty free, didn't have any kids. And friends, yeah, they were there, but if I'm being completely honest with myself, I think we were growing apart. We wanted different things. They were fine with having a regular 9 to 5 and getting married and settling down, which is fine. I'm not knocking them for that. There's nothing wrong with wanting stability and not having to struggle for your basic needs. But I wanted more. I mean, I was fine with the regular 9 to 5 in the moment, but long term, I didn't see myself slaving for somebody else's company the rest of my life. And the company with which I was working at the time was suitable for what I needed because they were all into being creative, innovation, moving forward into the future. And I mean, that was like speaking my language. So though the pay wasn't a lot, I just wanted to stay there for the time being. And whatever tools that I learned from that company, I could now take and apply to other areas of my life. So my response to my mom when she told me to come home was just, you know what, I'm okay, I'm figuring things out, I got it handled. But obviously I didn't have a handle on it because I kept asking her for money like back to back to back for 3 months until I came back from my friend's graduation. Now this was a friend that I've known since college. I was a year ahead of her, but after college, of course, she went on to medical school and then to become a doctor. And I went off to graduate school and I graduated with my Master's of Science in Journalism because medical school, I discovered earlier on, about junior year, that I wasn't going to make it. I had done an internship, a summer internship, which was working in the lab and doing research. And I mean, the pay was great and the people I was surrounded by were great as well, but I was just really bored. And I just figured paying a lot of money for medical school without really having a passion for it was quite a waste of time. So then I decided with the option of graduate school. So I went off to her graduation and she had told me about this graduation a year in advance. That way I can request the time off and be there But for some reason, the week before the graduation, I was contemplating canceling my flight, and I'm glad I didn't do it because I hadn't seen her in about, I think it was about 3 years at this point, I hadn't seen her. And so now being around her and her family, she just graduated from medical school. Her sister, not too long ago, had just finished nursing school, bought herself a house. Her brother was doing well. I think he was doing real estate, and just being around all of that was inspiring. So when I did get back to Florida, I decided, okay, first things first, my account is crying, so I'm gonna pick up overtime for at least 2 to 3 months, and then when I'm sitting pretty, then I can go back to doing the 40 hours. So that was my first priority, getting my bank account to where I wanted it to be. And then I found myself working more and more. This 2 or 3 months that I was supposed to be working overtime turned into 4 or 5 months. And that was because I could not get a hold of that guy I was talking to. He ghosted on me. So I would just be working because I really did not want to think about it. I wanted to stay busy, stay occupied. And you know what? In the end, it ended up being really good for my pockets. So that was the first thing that happened. Him ghosting on me coming from the graduation and feeling inspired. That began the shift of me treating the job as a throwaway job instead of like something that actually pays my bills. So 2 to 3 months of working overtime turned into about 4 to 5 months or somewhere thereabouts. There's this company website on which employees of the company I work for can log on to check your schedules, check updates as far as the company is concerned, check for employee discounts, and also sign up for overtime. Now, signing up for overtime doesn't mean you're actually going to get it. Now, if it's available due to a lot of people being on vacation at the same time, or we're short staffed, or just in general we're busy because maybe summer or the holiday season, then you are scheduled to overtime. So I went on there, signed up for about 6 months worth of overtime, not expecting to get the entire 6 months, obviously. I was thinking I'll get maybe 1 or 2 months, which I would have been happy with. But I got about 5 months worth of overtime, which was really great because the paychecks with overtime compared to working the 40 hours a week, since it is an hourly position, was really nice. So kept my pockets really fat, and also me being at work all the time curbed my spending, because if I'm at work all the time, then I really don't have time to be spending that money, right? And also working all those hours provided a distraction from thinking about the guy who had ghosted on me, because if I'm at work all the time, I'm constantly busy, I am occupied, so I don't really have to think about it, which was great because it really hurt to think about it. The other reason that I was motivated to keep working all these overtime hours, aside from it keeping me from overspending because I was at work all the time, and also it provided a distraction from thinking about that guy that had ghosted on me, was something that occurred to me around the time that I saw the movie The Secret, which is also a book which talks about law of attraction, which I will make a separate video about, because if I have to talk about it in this video, it will be entirely too long. So the thing that occurred to me around that time was this. The project that I had mentioned earlier on in this video that kept getting lots of rejections, it got me thinking, it could take another 3, 4, 5 years for this project to get accepted. So does that then mean that I'm going to be miserable for the next 3, 4, 5 years? And then I'll keep calling in for work because I don't want to be there, keep treating the job like a throwaway job. And then because I'm calling in a lot from work, I'm losing money. And so I'm always short on money to pay rent, and I have to keep asking my mom for money. So this was just a vicious cycle that I didn't want to keep repeating. I mean, was this really how I wanted to spend what was left of my 20s, just being miserable and waiting for that dream job? No, most of us don't get what we want right out of college. And if you did get what you wanted right out of college, more power to you, God bless you. But the rest of us have to do a regular 9 to 5 to sustain us until we get the job that we wanted. So I figured, hey, it's not the dream job. It pays the bills, it provides food, it provides shelter, and yes, I don't want to be here forever, but for right now, you can't keep waiting for stuff to happen in order to be happy. Be happy now. And actually, I feel like when you're happy with what you have right now in the moment, it attracts what it is that you're wanting even faster. Now, obviously, if you're in a toxic work environment or toxic relationship, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, change the way you're thinking about it, it'll get better. If you're in a toxic work environment or toxic relationship, get out of it while you can. But if you're like me and you're working at a job where, yeah, the pay is not that high, but you do have like medical benefits, you like the people you work with, and the job is not overall just a terrible job, then just make do with what you have at the moment and just be happy. And not just be happy and just sit there and not work towards your goal. Be happy with what you have at the moment, but also behind the scenes after work. Be proactive in looking for that job that's not only going to provide you with a higher pay, but also a sense of fulfillment. Because a lot of times I feel like us millennials have this sense of entitlement. We feel like the moment we get out of college, we should have this big job with a big paycheck. But I think times have changed and that's not necessarily going to happen. You gotta do an entry level position for a while until you get something that pays better. And you also need that experience. I know it's easier said than done, but again, it starts with that shift in the way you see your job. There are tons of YouTube videos out there that pertain to how to job hunt or how to earn extra money. So make use of those videos. I mean, you're on here watching this video right now. Why not click on those videos to see what you can do about your current job situation if you don't really like it that much. I will link some of those videos down below. It wouldn't hurt to check them out. Thank you guys for tuning in, and don't forget to come back here every Tuesdays for new and awesome videos. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button at the bottom of your screen. Summer internship with. Ugh. Ready, set, go. Which I'll make a separate video on.